Has God told you that? Because my number one beef is that so many women believe this mythological lie that somehow God promised every single woman on the planet this amazing, great husband. All you got to do is pray for him and it will come to you.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We're going to be just reviewing a clip that was done by the Roommates podcast. I mean, a really, really good podcast. I really love their podcast. They do good stuff. And they were talking about, obviously, there's a 5-minute video which is done about women and their choice in men. And I want to kind of just review it because I saw a lot of women were saying about how they felt about the situation. So I want to kind of do a little video around it and just discuss, the issues as to why women were a little bit annoyed at the video as well. So make sure, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. And don't forget to grab your merchandise right here as well. Join the mineral gang, do you understand? I know it's hot, but get yourself a hoodie still, you understand? There's a vest there if you want it, baby. And as well, for you who want a hat as well, that shade, click on the link down below in the description box. Type in Littleblackbook91 as well in the code and get yourself 10% off the hat as well. So, yes guys, so we're talking obviously about this particular video. So if you haven't watched it, there's a little clip I'll put here for you.
In the Bible, wherever religious text you come from, where it says verbatim that every woman is guaranteed this perfect, amazing husband, custom just the way she likes him, and God has guaranteed it.
I watched parts of the whole thing actually. It's an hour long, and obviously it was concerned. It was, well, the context of it, they were talking about a bit more B. Simone, recent comments about the 9-to-5 situation, where it said obviously 9 to 5 versus entrepreneur kind of thing, right? So that was kind of the context around it, and then obviously this was a section where it was a rant. I think one of the problems I think that women were having with this is that I take in the whole context of everything. So not just his video, but the context of the wider scope of Christianity and what kind of messages come out. So quite rightly, I want to say number one, nobody, not just women, both women and men are not promised a partner. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7, that I wish you to be like me, single, baby. I'm wishing that you guys be like me because there is trouble that stirs in the water when you get into a relationship. Do you understand? And he says obviously then, because it's easier for you to focus on the things of God when you're single, but if you're in a marriage or relationship, you have to focus on the relationship and you think about God. Do you understand? So, Paul makes it very clear, like he wishes that both parties are single, not just women, but both women and men. Do you understand? So I think sometimes what happens is things get lost in translation. Do you understand? It gets very one-sided. So I understand, obviously, the point. He's absolutely right. Nobody is. It's actually a grace that you get married. Would I say this? An unmerited favor. Do you understand? Listen, as much as he's saying, obviously, quite correctly, that there's a work that women have to put in, is there? Because certain women are not putting no work in and getting a man. So is it really about work? Again, this is where we have to even look at that message. Because the message is saying, if you put enough work in, you're getting there. Let me tell you the honest truth. You can put all the work in, you still might not get a man. You still might not. It just might not be your destiny to get next to me. Okay, let me stop that. Do you understand? So it may not be your destiny. It's a grace of God, right? That's the important thing. Yes, there are things that as a woman and as a man you can do because both parties are suffering, but majority more women are suffering because the ratio of men to women. Not only the ratio of men to women, it's the ratio of good men out there versus women. This is where the broader context of a conversation should be happening. What can we do to get these men to think properly about the way they act? How can we get young boys to be reared in a correct way so when they grow older, there is more good men out there? The problem is that most men are not. Most men have a low accountability because society allows them to be so. Therefore, we rear women to be better suited, to be good women, to be this, that, and yet we don't rear up the wolves. Yeah, the wolves that are grown men now are because they were cubs when they were younger. Yeah, the wolf had to start somewhere. Yeah, the lion had to start somewhere. The tiger had to start somewhere. It didn't become a full-fledged male-female tiger. The tiger got there when it began to grow. And how did it begin to grow? What was being fed to it? Okay? So, I agree with him in the sense of the fact that yes, there is a message that comes out to women, especially, which is that, and especially in mega churches and stuff like that, there is there's a lot of single conferences, right? Here's the thing: if you get into the nitty gritty, women have been subjected to these single conferences, but men don't come to the conferences. So you're training women to be great single people and know how to hold the line and toe the line. But the very people that they're trying to attract also are not in the midst to have a conversation. So the very people that you're training these women for, the men aren't ready for. Do you understand? And I'm not saying him per se, this guy, but I'm talking about church in general. I'm talking about the Christendom in general. We're not training men to be men. Do you know what I mean? Like, so therefore, these good men are few and far between. So he's absolutely right again. The Bible says, I think it's in Isaiah, where it talks about 1 man to 7 women. Like, it's like blood. Like, it will get to that point. And so finding a good man is hard to have. I want to put this point though. There is an arrogance on both men and women. What do I mean by that? Everybody has an ounce of arrogance. What do I mean? In the sense of the fact that the partner we're looking for is perfect for us in every way. They're not perfect, but they're perfect for us in every way. So they're the right type of good looking. They're the right type of financial status. They're the right type of Christian needs. They're the right type in terms of being extroverted, introverted, right? The perfect guy who's not really perfect, but is perfect for you. Do you understand? And there's an arrogance of that, because same with women, men too. Men want a perfect gal with a perfect type of waist, perfect type of smile, perfect type of legs, perfect type of bum, perfect type of figure, perfect type of submission, perfect in terms of a job, perfect in terms of being motherly, cooking, da-da-da. Like, everybody has their own list on each individual side, yeah? And here's the thing. There's an arrogance. Why I say that is because everybody, most people, right, they want to get the best that they can get, right? Right? Others, we call it what we call settling, right? That we're trying to go for the best that we can get. So we do take into account looks. There's a certain, you look at your own self, there's a certain level you say to yourself, I just wouldn't go there. I just wouldn't go there. Right? You say, you look at your church and you say, okay, there's 1 woman in there or 2 women in there, and what's wrong with them? Maybe, do you know what? Not necessarily they're not on fire for God, but it's maybe they're not as fire as I wanted them to be. So therefore, they're not really the one. Why not go after that woman then? Why not go after that woman? She's fire. She's in the church. That's it. We don't really talk and get on. See, so everybody wants this perfection, right? We want something that's going to match us. That's what makes it difficult. It's not that there isn't women or men out there that are good. It's that they're not matching our specificity. That's both men and both women. Yeah? Because we was having a discussion about this the other day on Instagram, talking about how would you date someone who's 7 foot or 6 foot woman? If you're a man, would you date a 6 foot woman or a 7 foot woman? Like, do you know what I mean? Would you date a 3 foot woman? You know what I'm saying? And women, would you dating someone under 6 foot? Is that a problem? Now, in my experience, and the Bible says we should dwell with women according to knowledge. In my experience, because I'm 28 now, I'm very much aware when we were younger, women were going after like the bad boy, the guy that's got a bit of money at the time, the guy that's going to be driving earliest, the earliest person who's driving, the guy that's the funniest, the guy that's the rudest in the class. They dated all these little bad boys. And here's the thing, a lot of times I feel like some men grow up, yeah, and continue this thought process that women just want the bad boys. And because they saw that in school, they transferred that to life because there are unconfirmational biases. What happens is this, or confirmational bias, I'm going to call it that. Confirmational biases, what happened is this. You had a thought when you were younger that all women want bad boys. You got older, and as women are not coming towards you as such, or the type of woman you want, because that's where the problem is. Normally it's a type of woman that you want. Yeah? You have a desire. You have a desire that you want, yeah? The type of woman that you want aren't looking at you. Do you understand? The type of woman you want isn't looking at you, right? And so now you say, oh, all women want just is like that. All women want is just that. It's same with all men are trash. It's like blood. Not all men are trash. You know what I'm saying? But that word, when you put all in there, it's because your scope of your world, you've experienced men being trash. So, in regards to the situation again, just coming back to that, my point is that we all try to get the best that we can, and in doing so, what happens is, because we have past experiences, we say that, okay, all women are like this or all men are like this. And what we've seen in church especially, just to even go off the rails a little bit, what we've seen in church a lot of the time is there is a preaching from a male to females all the time. So women, this is what you should do when you're like, da-da-da. In this season, women, this is what you should do in this season, da-da-da. Women, this is what you should do in this season. And what happens is men don't take into account the nuances of dating scene. Yeah, and they don't take into account of the dating scene, because if we're saying that women get the same message, right? All the messages that they hear is about how there's going to be a perfect husband waiting for them. Who's giving them that message? Who is giving them that message? Is it not the person at the pulpit? Is he not a man? See, so you know, in this whole and again, I'm not blaming roommate podcast, because again, I think they were talking about a whole heap of different things, right? Like, for instance, talking about name it and claim it, which is part of the word of faith movement. You can't name it and claim a husband. Like, there's no such thing. You can't name and claim a wife either. No such thing. It's not biblical to name and claim. Sorry. I know you might call it what it is. You can't manifest a husband or can't manifest a wife either. It doesn't happen. There's no manifesting. Can you visualize what you want? Yes. And you can take it to God in prayer? Yes. But there's no manifesting. I say it's not Christian. That's not biblical Christian doctrine there, that we can manifest something. No. But again, I understand in the case of the fact that a lot of the time when we're asking women, we're saying about women have an unrealistic idea when it comes to dating. Yeah, there are men that have unrealistic ideas that come to dating. There are pools on both parties. The difference is that the spectrum or the pool to choose from for women is much more smaller, because it seems like there's far less good men than there are good women. The good women outnumber the men. So what happens is now that men will start saying, well, you know, you shouldn't have unrealistic ideas. It's not necessarily unrealistic. What it is that there just may not be as much of a market for this, what you're asking for. For instance, I've got no problem. If a woman says to me she wants a 6 foot kind of guy, what is wrong with that? Like, she's voiced her opinion. Now, let me tell you something about men. Men don't like to tell the truth. This is the problem I have with, and not all men. This is what I have with a lot of men, especially when we're in a position of power to tell people what the truth is. You don't tell the truth. When you saw your wife, when you saw your girlfriend, you had a certain preference. Yeah? You saw a certain gal, and it may not, and not everyone marries their preference, let's be honest. But you might have had a whole different preference. You want a certain gal with a certain waist. Yeah, you might not have said it because it's rude to say it. In the context of society, it's rude for us to say, I want a girl with a size 6. It's rude for us to say that, right? But in your head, you're like, I want a girl that is got a thin waist. You never said size 6, but you said, I want a girl with a thin waist. I want a girl with a back. I want a girl with breasts. Yeah, I want to go with a certain skin tone. Yeah, I want to go with a certain hairstyle. Yeah, I want to go with a certain like this. We all asking for certain things, right? But and the problem with, I think, for women as well, is that whenever they voice what they want, they're shut down and told you shouldn't have a voice to say what you feel. You should just take whatever you're given. Yeah, and then it gets masked as you're asking for the perfect man. What is the perfect man? The girl said, I want a guy that's 6 foot. Yeah, I want him to have a good job. All right, I want him to love the Lord. All right, I want him to be a chocolate brother. All right, what's wrong with those things? I don't understand. It's a preference. It's what you prefer, you'd want to happen. Now, the problem is that if a good man comes along who's good-hearted, is about the Lord, he's got good money, but he's 5'5" and you don't like it, then you have a problem, because then you may be, and I'm gonna say you see. It's all about calculated risk. We don't know. It may be you're missing out on something great. But what if the Lord is storing a 6 foot guy for you? Nobody knows. You see, only the Lord knows that. Do you understand? So again, even us, it's arrogant for me to even say, well, you should have gone for the 5'5" kind of guys who were there. No, but we don't know. Maybe the Lord did reserve a 6 foot type of guy. Now, the statistics do tell us that, you know, the likelihood of being married a 6 foot kind of guy is not there. But again, who's responsible? Who is responsible for putting the idea in women's head that 6 foot type of guys are the guy that should be going for? Because these are all ideas that have been placed by images that someone has said. Do you understand? So where are they getting this from? Well, they're getting it from oftentimes media, TV. Guess who runs that? Males often run those particular circles and those particular media and TV. Males normally at the top, who are the execs who are running these things, and so therefore they place their image onto it, right? And also there's biological issues as well with this, and the fact that look, a grown man who's got muscles, who's toned, who's 6 foot something, will be seemingly looking like a what? Protector. right? And this is a natural instinct. Now, for women, the point is that I think what this guy is also really saying is that, listen, you can't be first of all, number one, you can't expect that God is definitely going to do this, right? You know, that God is not obliged to listen to your request, but God is not obliged to listen to a man's request. You understand? Like, that's why I'm saying we need balance in the kingdom of God, because sometimes what happens is we get men relationship coaching about how women are, but don't coach the men. So there's no point. Like, you're coaching women to find men who aren't existing themselves. So it's almost like a double kill. It's like blood. You're coaching women to not look for the man, but there are men out there that are not being coached. We need to have more men. You see, what happens is we focus on the very little men that are there and say, women, this, that. The men need to be also coached. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not blaming room cart, because that's a problem. That's epidemic, man. That's an epidemic within our society. And I think you mentioned about the fact that, women putting in the work in. Listen, and there's a lot of women putting work in, There's a lot of women putting work in, and they are not finding a partner. Because again, I want to mention this word grace. It's the grace of God. Like I said, certain people, are not putting no work in and getting man. And keeping him. Yeah? Let's start telling the truth about what men actually want. Because even me, do you know why it's a struggle? Even me, I'm trying to think to myself, what is it that men actually want? I know what I want. I know what I look for. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I like a bunda. I like a little bit of a back. You understand? Yeah. I like them thick thighs. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my kind of thing. Thick thighs in the back, you're gonna have me in trouble. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like, but it's not going to determine whether I'm a married person or not. I'm beyond that point. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not gonna hold me. But that's what draws me in, right? And then obviously I look for the fact that there has to be a certain personality. I need this, and I need this. And I think where we need to start taking a conversation to is, what is your need versus what is your want? And then begin to explore that, because when you begin to know what you need, then the person can say, I don't need 6 foot per se. I like 6 foot. I think oftentimes what we do is say, women have unrealistic expectations. All right, so what does that mean? It means there are some things that are wants and there's some things that are needs. And so what we can say is, listen, you want a 6 foot type of guy, dark skinned, chocolate, dresses well, got all his teeth in place, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I understand that, the sisters want, that perfect kind of looking brother. I think as women obviously get older, they begin to mature and begin to have a better understanding. So sometimes what can happen is like I said, like, I understand that obviously that sometimes women have unrealistic expectations in the sense of, but again, I think we should start looking at what do we mean by unrealistic expectations. What we're trying to say is, listen, what's the necessity here? Like, do you actually need the 6 foot, or do you actually want the 6 foot? And I think I heard someone say it, which is really good. He said about the fact that there are expressions of weightings when it comes to what you actually want, right? So weightings means what value do I place on it? And I think when you're really deeper, let's say you get a 6 foot type of guy, yeah? You get his dark chocolate, the outer shell is brilliant, okay, but his finances, not that he hasn't got money, he doesn't know how to handle money. Are you okay with that? Okay, so that's a problem for you. Okay, all right, do you know what? And he has a lot of girls who give him attention. Are you secure enough to deal with a man like that? Okay, maybe not. All right, okay, the situation is that he's a bit of a mummy's boy. Are you okay with that? Do you need that? And then what you start to realize is, and a lot of women learn this through experience. So this is what I'm saying, like, there needs to be room for growth here and an explanation and talk, right? That what is the weightings of these things? It's not to say put them all aside. It's not to say that you have to release it, but say, listen, these things, what is a necessity? What couldn't you live without, right? Yeah, you need a man are you sure you need a man with 100k in his bank? Or do you want a man that's going to be able to take care of you, have finances in check? What's really important for you? Yeah, and then work backwards into what's not as important. Right? And so that the person can say, okay, I'm not releasing it, I'm not throwing it away, but what I'm saying is that, okay, look, this would be nice, this would be nice, this would be nice. Oh, this is necessity, this is necessity, this is necessity. Let me be very honest and frank. A lot of men speak from a place of privilege. They are choosing women. So if you're choosing women already, you're putting a preferential filter on who you're choosing, because you're not choosing every woman. It's not anything that you see on the street or any woman you see in church that you're going after. So you're already having a preference and a filter. Don't pretend as if because I haven't. It's not me. I haven't met the right one. No, but you're still choosing. What do you mean you haven't met the right one? Yeah, well, aren't the Christian sisters good enough? Like at the moment, like no, but obviously I want a certain type. So you want a certain type. There is a certain type, not necessarily figure-wise, but in terms of what you actually want. Do you understand? So let's just be very, very understanding of each other position. That we all trying to figure it out, right? And that obviously as a man, I understand that when I'm choosing, I know that I put filters on it. I know my missus said to me, listen, once she said to me, but you're shallow, I said, yeah, there's a bit of shallowness to me. I'm not gonna come to lie and tell you, listen, I like a bunda. So I'm trying to choose a girl with a bunda. So my preferential filter at the moment is that I want a one with a bunda. You understand? But the most important thing isn't the bunda. The most important thing is that, listen, number one, I'm a person that is very sensitive. I need someone to support me in what I do. I need a person that's going to be my number one root fighter for me. I need a person that's going to be a certain way. But all of that, I want it tied into a certain type of look that I like. I like a certain look. I know I've got a thing with eyes. You understand? Like, and I can have that luxury because time is not running out for me just yet. But as time begins to run out, luxury begins to fade and you begin to compromise. Everybody does it. To pretend as if that we don't do that is a lie. So when you're in your youth and you've got time on your hands, just like women do in their early youth, in their time on their hand, they will date certain people because they feel like they've got time, right? And they're not sure of what they actually want. As they get older and mature and realize time is so precious, they start to realize, okay, cool, maybe this aspect isn't important. So I think that's important to have the conversation in that format where it goes, we understand your position as a woman. We understand your freight or your fight as a woman that, yes, you want a certain type of guy, but he may not be existing. Do you understand? And then we also have to look at the reasons as to why they'd want a 6 foot, why they would want a perfect credit score, why they want this. Finding out why the person wants it, then being able to work back from that and say, hey, do you know what? This kind of guy is still going to be good. Because what you really want is this. Like, for instance, when a woman wants, I want a man that, has a lot of money or whatever. What are you actually saying? Do you want a lot of money or are you looking for security? Because you realize that, because I didn't have much money when I was younger, I want to have the freedom to do this, that. Then, you see, when you begin to understand it, you can understand why, the way she's thinking, and then you can then represent and say, hey, look, you know what? Maybe it might not be this, but I can show you something else that this could. It's almost like doing real estate, right? Everybody has an idea of what their perfect house is, but then we realize the perfect house doesn't exist, yeah? And so what we do is we look at different houses and say, okay, maybe do you want maybe your good house, right? I can see you got the qualities of a good house. And it's the same thing here. And so, yeah, I want to just kind of say, listen, I think it's important that we have these conversations. I think it's really good. And I think it's important that men also begin to be open to conversation around this. Like, when we're talking about men talking about women and how they know they think and everything, let's start opening them, inviting them to the conversation and asking the question as to why they think the way they think. And you'll start to realize a lot of the messaging. For instance, when women say, men just want girls with a big bum, big breast, the figure 8 curve, and you have to ask yourself again, why? Why do they think that we want that? Because when I get down to the nitty gritty with the man them, yeah, let me tell you something. Yes, man them want maybe a figure or whatever, but we're actually quite down to earth and we say, listen, actually, do you know what? That ain't essential, bro. Like, I just want peace. You know what I'm saying? And even when you say I want peace, if that was the case, there'll be any girl go with you. It's not any girl that you want. You want peace, but there is a peace that comes with a certain look, a certain type, you know what I mean, that you're willing to accept it for. So we understand that, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we get it. Let's start having those conversations. You feel me? So again, I don't disagree necessarily with his point. I think what riled that women was the fact that it was a rant, and it seemed like it was aimed at them. And it seemed like it was very direct to them when they've heard this every single time in church. And many women were saying that they don't actually ever say they want a perfect husband. I think women who are older understand there is no perfect husband, the same way there's no perfect wife. And I think that's what they're saying. And I think I remember Matthew Hussey said something like, which is that men tend to exaggerate, right? They tend to exaggerate the problem by saying, like, let's say the girl was flirting. So you were actually going out with man and trying to flirt with man and trying to do man dirty. And like, blood, no, he was flirting with me. Like, I wasn't trying to have anything. And we'll blow it out of proportion. I think the same thing here. Saying that, women want a perfect husband. No, but they're describing some attributes that they would want. Do you understand? Now, there's some women that are unwilling to give up those attributes regardless. But a lot of women would shift their move. They would say, okay, do you know what? Maybe that's not what I need, but it is what I want. Do you understand? Same if you're going to buy a house. But guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We love. And make sure you join the Mineral Gang as well. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked.